You ready?
Do I need to count or just clap? Okay.
Wait, it didn't go. It wasn't good. There it is. I love a clap. Too many. Okay. Sorry. I didn't nail my own high five. It was off.
That's going to be so fun for the editor.
You know when your high five it didn't get nailed?
Oh, you got to do it right. You got to stop and do it right. Yep, redo.
Yeah.
All right, well, I want to start
cool
by saying
yes.
I want to start by saying that on a somewhat serious and yet not serious tone of that I feel great. I want to tell you how I feel.
Okay, let me turn this phone off so we don't get advertised or all the things that it's been doing. Since I've upgraded it, it's gone insane.
Really?
With advertising. I don't know. They supercharged their spyware. I refuse to get these new iPhones.
Yeah,
they're up to 17.
Yeah,
we can't stop them. I think it's iPhone 17.
Is that right?
No, this is like from years ago, but they'll have
mine too. All right, so I feel a responsibility.
Okay.
It's one that I like. And I feel completely free to be myself. The responsibility is that you are choosing me at this moment to share yourself.
I know.
You know?
I was going to say it's terrible. It's terrifying. Because I was like, what have I done? Okay, but go on. We're here.
Okay. Well,
why did I choose to talk and be vulnerable? Okay.
Oh, right. Okay. So checking in about that's on my radar.
Okay.
And at the same time, having an attitude of like being responsible for anything really in this universe outside of my own actions is like I've learned about it. And so I can completely be myself here. But leading up to this moment, I'm walking around in the grass and I'm working my mala, meaning I'm just, thumbing through, and I'm sort of chanting with the divine, and to bring myself back into zero.
Oh, yeah.
I'm about to meet somebody who I've admired for so long, and so I need to go back to zero, because this could be a big moment if I let it.
Okay.
It is a big moment, but I don't want that to get in the way of being myself.
Yeah.
And so I'm walking around the grass and I'm doing that, and I'm getting back into the moment. And then I think the thought comes, you're in the moment now, and one of your next moments is sitting with Juliette Lewis, who you appreciate so much.
Oh.
And that's a very psychedelic experience to go from zero to Juliette Lewis. for me.
Tell me about it. You've had to do a lot of work in regards.
Right.
No, but you said a few things in your language that I really like and have to understand. First of all, I wouldn't know how to explain. I'm sort of, I was going to say bastardized spiritualism. I'm just making that up. I don't know. But, I pull in a lot, but not book read about it.
Right.
So I had this term called zeroing out.
Is that right?
Yeah, it may be a jackpot, or which like ding, 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 or when you're at your bottom, and all the things the teachers talk about, and then you have enough wherewithal to get yourself out of the mud.
Yes.
So, but I've always played with this term zeroing out, but I like it in a more just daily practice.
Yeah.
Well, because there's other language I use in programs of like being right size.
Yes.
To me, that's starting at zero, like getting and just like feet on the ground.
That's right.
That's what I'm getting. What that means.
Yes.
And then you said mala. What is mala?
That's one of these.
Yes.
Yeah.
You referred to this.
Yes,
so.
and it's it can be used in different traditions, but I'm a practicing Tibetan Buddhist, and this isn't an advertisement for Tibetan Buddhism at all. That's just my thing.
So the beads are called mala.
It's a mala. They're mala beads, and there's 108, and it's one for every lifetime it's said for the Buddha have had before he became the Buddha.
Oh.
The 108th one was the lifetime.
Oh my gosh, this just made me go ding, ding, ding. Because if you get into numbers,
yes,
1 + 8 is 9. I'll tell you a fun story because my license plate. Oh, but I can't tell people what my license plate is, lest they arrive right at my home. But dealing with the numbers 9, I had run into someone who knew about numbers, and the point is, I lost my father 6 years. I don't remember. Maybe it's longer.
Yeah, I just read.
But it always feels like last year.
That's it?
But I fell in love with a machine, with a muscle car. Like some people fall in love with machines. I got that feeling where you're excited to wake up in the morning and turn that engine. And one day I was driving down the road weeping, and I'm like, what is happening? This is a visceral experience with the engine of freedom and speed. And I went, oh, it's in my cellular DNA, because my dad, don't judge him, but used to street race with me in the car at 9. I mean, it explains a lot. My parents are amazing.
Would you say his name? Because
Jeffrey Lewis.
Thank you. I just, whenever we're speaking about people who are passed, I like to get the name involved.
Jeffrey Lewis.
Yeah.
He's very important to me. But anyway, my license plate, it came in the mail after I was like, oh, yeah, this comes from, there's this cute bird who's listening in the podcast as well. I'm sure this one comes often. Like, they're doing another podcast. Frank. It's so funny. Yeah. So I was like, what is this? Oh, from childhood, I'd be in napping. He had this supercharged Datsun. And I'm just sleeping. He'd take one of us kids on his errands. Yeah. And then he'd go, 0 to 80.
That was a rad car. That was a rad car. The Datsun, was it a
240 ZX?
Yes.
But he had his Chevy engine.
Oh, wow.
This is now stuff I understand what that means now. But he used to parrot off this stuff about his car. It's like, wow, Dad, this is a real machine. Yeah. But no wonder I'm a lot into, excitement, adrenaline, because my dad was fun in this way. Anyway, my license plate came and it says Dad in it. Whoa. And then some 9 numbers.
That's so good.
I think about new beginnings or endings and beginnings.
Great.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, is that 9 after like the infinite? Like 8.
Yeah, I don't know about it. Someone was just saying, that's the end of a cycle. I Googled it, and I was like, that seems about right.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Is there anything...
Anyway, you said 108 to your mala beads.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, maybe was that guy, what's it, a Buddhist?
The
prophet?
Buddha?
Do they have prophets?
No.
I forget what their lingo is.
You know what their whole thing is... And once again, I promise I'm not trying to sell this.
But it's okay.
Okay.
There's truth in all the things.
The whole thing is, the philosophy is that that nothing really is here. And so since everything is here, while nothing's really here, we might as well live and really live and be present for this unfolding, beautiful phenomena on top of everything being nothing, really, scientifically.
No, I can get into this today, because I literally was leaving a message for my sister saying, you know what my new mantra is? None of this matters. Yeah. Nothing matters. However, that can't be an umbrella for purposelessness. Right. It was all the riffraff, all the like prickly, all the human little dramas that they invent daily. I was like, this doesn't matter. But I go into like, because we're all gonna die, and when you're on your death, that's you're not thinking about. And then so and so said, and then they were doing, and then you know what I said. No one's thinking about that on their deathbed.
No, not at all. And I think to talk about spirituality in that way, and sort of like how I pick from all the different offerings also, and even though I've picked one path that I kind of have as a primary, it's one that allows me to love all, and it looks really practical and simple, like astute even, and plain, but it believes in all this rainbow shit. Yes. And I kind of like that,
The magic. I like that too, and I had read one thing, and then when we're done with this, maybe you can give me a Buddhist book for dummies.
Oh, sure.
Did they create such a book? No, layman's terms. But I did like this whole concept, which is the trip I'm finally on more of, It is to sit with suffering, to the observer, be a witness to all of that, the detachment.
Wow.
So
I can't believe we've been brought together at this time in that way, because that's something that is a primary focus of mine, and in teaching also. And I'm not trying to be a teacher here today. But I'm trying to be.
I'm always a student. So.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. Yeah. Perfect. I guess so. I feel that responsibility. And at the same time, I feel like being myself, and I think of the extraordinariness of having watched you from a very early age, including like the Wonder Years, which I remember you from. And I've since gone back, even in my 20s, I think, and watched those episodes. But acting for you, you came into an acting family. Your father was an actor for decades, and really amazing resume of like being in kind of everything. Mm-hmm. And is that what you wanted to do when you were young? I mean, did you aspire then, or did it find you later on?
I didn't know the industry aspect of it, the line of workness of it. I only knew, so when I was younger, and that means 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I was in like musical workshops, not quite theater, although we did a couple plays, and it involved everything. So I took dance and singing, and I loved characters. I was always deeply a people watcher. Always.
Wow.
From little on, and
Did you do impressions of people?
No, not impressions, but I would perceive. Mm-hmm. Now I learned later when they're batting these terms around, what's it called? An empath. Mm-hmm. It's like, no wonder about it, Sal.
Yeah. So you're feeling the awkwardness.
An intuitive. So I would glean what it's basically people behave, I would watch how people, where their energy pockets, how they hold their shoulders, how they walk on their toes, walk lowered in their hips.
Yeah.
I could so that's why in my work it's super behavior oriented.
Yes.
And then also I was really deep into the what people are concealing, reveal and conceal. Now, I'm not trained in acting, and there is some language for the things I intuitively did.
Yeah.
Because I've sat in on friends' acting classes.
Sure. You have no formal training?
No.
That's amazing.
No formal training. When I was 11, I did what's called a cold reading workshop with a lady in her backyard, much like this. And I was just starting to have a nice time. Like, wow, this is fun. Because I'd look over and she was weeping when I was reading something.
Wow.
And it's a sad story. And she had died on the third. That was my first taste of death. I was like,
wow.
What? I knocked on the door of my dad. When I'm ready for class, she died. And he took me to have an Orange Julius.
Love those.
Hollywood Boulevard. He didn't say anything. You know how dads are from that time.
She died.
Yeah, what are you going to say?
Let's go get Orange Julius.
Yeah. It's just like how to make you feel a little bit more comfortable.
Right.
But anyway, I'm not academically trained.
And you were like emancipated at 14, I read. And so did that mean that school ended then?
All that meant, and I always had to tell this to media because they always make things. I'm writing this script that's, I call it an exaggeration of themes of what I went through. But there is one scene of how you can take a truth and make it a lie. I'll give you an example. But anyway, Emancipation says you divorce your parents.
Yeah.
But it was with my parents' help, they emancipated me from child labor laws.
Oh, wow.
With their help, because I was acting by then. Ironically, acting professionally as a teenager actually kept me out of trouble. I was always curious about trouble.
Holy shit. That's wild. That is wild. And your parents helped, and so they know that this is the the way of the business to be that available to succeed.
Well, it wasn't even something they made up. It was very common when, like, Uma Thurman was emancipated. All these other, it was like, you were going to, if that was on a piece of paper, you were going to get the job more than the other person.
Gotcha.
It was real commonplace, but in a normal society, it only comes off, because there was a famous story, I think, with a boy his parents were not nice.
Yeah, so it's not controversial. It's more, it was a career move. I mean, not career move. That sounds sinister.
I know, because we weren't even career oriented. It was just sort of what I was doing at that time. It was like paperwork stuff.
Gotcha.
But no, I'm making it really casual when my parents were pretty radical and super bohemian, super pro art.
Yeah.
Anti-authority. So I don't think they really thought much of public schooling. Like, in hindsight, would I have wanted to take Greek mythology or theology or learn more about the poets?
Yeah.
But the good news is I can do that. I've done somewhat of it on my own time.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. I got my GED, to answer your question.
Oh, you did?
At 15.
Oh, at 15.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm similarly, I didn't finish high school. I ran away. And
you did the run away.
I
ran away and stayed away?
I ran away and stayed away. And I never went back to school, and I have no education at all. And
what's
outside
it up
of
to?
11th,
8th grade?
11th.
9th grade? Oh, okay. You made it to 11th.
Yeah, but it's so weird because...
Let's not advertise the muscle. There's coffee in here. This is me recycling. Okay.
No, but I found that like that leaving at that time and staying away, there was just some things that I had to figure out. And what's weird is that the more I've become a conscious being, the more I've unlocked the education that actually I did absorb when I was younger. Mm-hmm. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
It's like you're smart all of a sudden as you start emptying out.
Yes.
And it's like the information is there, and it's like, wow, God, I actually write things well. And
that's wild.
Yeah. You had that experience?
Well, I'll mention my sister often because she's sort of completes me as a person.
Wow.
But we always... we share stories. Mm-hmm. But just the other day I was going, I find that words will drop down that I've never used before but fit the sentence.
Yes, yeah.
Like, I might be pronouncing this wrong, but I had for the first time used assuage. You can assuage something. I was like, don't know if I'm using it right, but this is the first time it's dropping down for this situation. But that happens often. Yeah,
and I don't think it's the Big Lebowski thing that happens in that movie where he'll be out somewhere and he'll hear somebody use a phrase, and then he'll be in some situation next, and then he'll try and use it, and it's from the last scene where he heard somebody use it, and it's seeing how we do that. A lot of people do that now with podcasts.
Wait, Jeff Bridges' character does it?
Yes, there's
so much in that movie
that my God.
I'm still stuck on the trio of Friends and the Ashes.
Yeah,
but I need to look at it just for that part.
Oh, that's so funny.
That's cute.
Where they dump the ashes. I got in a car accident the other day, and I thought of that scene. I'm fine. Everything's fine. But it was funny. It was funny because I thought of that exact scene where they're dumping the ashes because he says Leo Carrillo in that movie, and it's right there, and I'm like, God, movies have such an imprint on me.
Yeah.
I don't think I studied people as much as I studied the people on TV.
Oh, okay.
But very much as people studier also.
Yeah.
I wanted to be older in every way. When I was younger, I just wanted to be able to talk with them and know the jokes. And I would watch Saturday Night Live like at a young age, 12, just laughing at jokes that I didn't understand. But I was obsessed about entertainment and what it could show me as a teacher, I think. I've never put it that way, but that's really what it was. And so entertainment became like a pursuit of mine.
That's neat.
Yeah.
But an escape? Is that a home? My brother was glued to the TV for different than all of us, but loved pop culture. He's like an encyclopedia.
Yes, I think it was that.
Culture.
I thought that if I knew things it could make up for the fact that I wasn't doing well in school. It could make up for the non-education that I had. And so if I knew pop culture stuff, I could at least like relate, and maybe people would want to be friends or that type of thing. You can be relevant. If you can make people laugh, or you can write a song and maybe people want to play with you. Yeah. Shit like that. And so it ended up being great. You know, you talk about growing up, you know, I just want to go straight to your first big role, which is one of my favorites, in Cape Fear.
Oh, yeah, it's Cape Fear.
Yeah.
I get distracted by birds and all flying things, and we are outside.
We can take a bird break anytime.
I have a dog head, too. I think that's a positive. But I'm like, the birds.
There's actually
where are they going?
They
left.
There's a red-tailed hawk nest in this tree here. Oh. So 2 of them fly around. There was one that swooped really low here before you got here.
That's neat.
And I thought, however many bird interruptions happen today, I welcome it.
Okay.
So please let me know when you see a good one. Yeah.
That's cool. And what does the 1261 mean, or do you care to explain this?
Oh, no, sure. I'll explain anything. It's the address of the house that I grew up in. Oh. And my parents had to sell it and at a certain point, and a lot of my formative memories are there, and in every degree. You know? And so I just got it with my brother when they sold the house.
That's beautiful.
Yeah? Do you have a place like that?
Yes. No, our childhood home in Tarzana, I wanted to buy, but it was so renovated it's unrecognizable. It's a second story. We grew up in a ramshackly little ranch, and now they're, I guess you call them McMansions or something. And, I had that fantasy of buying the home. Anyway, I forgot the numbers. My brother's good with numbers. I think it's 1240. Okay, anyway.
No, so you're so I'm 15, I think, when I see this movie, and you're 18 acting in it. Yeah. And you seemed like me. I mean, it was somebody who was my age, and I'm watching this person act who I'm also watching them listen to Guns N' Roses Lies in their bedroom. Was that?
It was Patience.
It was Patience.
That's pretty cool they used that song.
Isn't it fucking cool?
Yeah.
Did you have anything to do with it?
No. Here's what's funny is, as I've looked back, like when I did my band and stuff, but a lot of my movies and roles are associated with music. Yeah. And that's just sort of luck of the draw and real zeitgeist stuff.
Oh, my God, for sure.
Because Natural Born Killers, that soundtrack is just out of this world with 9 Inch Nails. I think Trent put the whole thing together.
Yeah, I was just saying that the other day. He curated that whole thing. Yeah. Yeah. I was obsessed with that soundtrack.
It was so special.
Yeah, and you might as well be Patti Smith in it. I mean, you have your own songs in that, and from the film, of course, but having it all put together in one.
Oliver Stone is who introduced me to Patti Smith. The first time I ever heard that incredible artist's name and her songs. Leonard Cohen. Yeah. He hit me to that. Yeah. He was deep into using music for film. Yeah. But, so Cape Fear, I just knew it was of the time. God, what a trip of a life. Because now I know all these people, and I didn't, it's only in hindsight. Because at the time, you're just puzzle pieces in this artist's tapestry. And then in hindsight, like I know all these guys. Right, of course. Concerts, and you're sort of comrades in various ways.
Jane's Addiction's even in the bedroom.
That's right.
Yeah, Been Caught Stealing is the video. Yes. And in the background, you're listening to Guns N' Roses' Patience, but you're watching Jane's Addiction.
Yes, and then and Natural Born Killers, Nothing Shocking, or Sex and Violence, or whatever. It's Nothing Shocking. They used to use Natural Born Killers to open that song for a time. Yeah. Oh, wow. There's stuff, because I was in my own head through my 90s that I didn't even know I was incorporated into the fabric of the culture. You know what I mean?
Oh, my
God. I don't know that.
Oh, you're an absolute goddess of that era. I mean, like thrift. What
would I have done with that information?
The Riot Girl movement, I feel like, got a boost from your role in Natural Born Killers, Like, it was like women were being represented. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I want to talk about that.
I'll tell you my intentions with that. I was very aware of intending something with that role.
Holy shit.
Cape Fear.
So this is what I noticed about Cape Fear watching it recently.
Yes.
and this makes sense about you said my roles have been like, I don't know how you described it. You said like physical or
oh yeah, always I've just become a complete person.
Yeah.
From the toes up. That's always my intention.
Amazing. Well, at that young age, it's crazy how you are nailing this sort of like, I'm going, is this just her natural way? Or was she like really embodying this sort of like
I'm putting it
loose-limbered sort of
putting it on.
Yeah. Yeah. So
people didn't give me credit. I mean, at the time, that's not a chip. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
Nobody gave me credit that what was said at the time a lot, and it's not said now, was, wow, how did he find that girl? Scorsese, how did he find someone like that? Just that it wasn't, do you understand? He created it.
Oh, gotcha.
And that happens, I don't know if it'll, there's gender stuff in there.
Oh.
But it was said a lot it still gets said that they got that performance out of her.
The male took the lead in how she was.
And there's no doubt. Like I credit Scorsese with giving me, I say, my creative wings.
Oh, for sure.
Because I was in here about it, and then until I had someone of his enthusiasm and power and presence, just a beautiful artist, loving artist.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
He gave me the floor and the runway, but he actually had a very light touch with instruction. Like he knew, he helped me cultivate my instincts.
Wonderful.
Which was huge and necessary at the time. It's necessary for all artists. So he was instrumental in me in validating my instincts.
That's incredible.
But not a lot of instruction.
Right. So, but that was the media saying, like having this narrative about like, oh, look at what he's done now. He's found this great.
Yeah, they found her.
Right.
There was a neat story though all about it because he did look at like 500 girls for the part. And
I read that today, and I was like, I wanted to ask you. Yeah, I wanted to ask if that was, because that was the legend of it, and so that even furthers the point. I mean, after 500 to choose you, and that you in that role now, thinking about it, when you come on screen, it's so insanely vulnerable. It bleeds vulnerability, and I thought at the time, I'm thinking like this person's a natural, like my age, like, oh wow, it's just so real.
Yeah.
But now I look at it and I go, that was acting. And I think about your later roles, which I we'll get to those at some point, but like The Other Sister, where, it's such a physical situation, and there's a physicality in your work, especially in Natural Born Killers after that.
Yeah. Well, I guess let's see. I didn't mean to say, I mean, there are, I guess, Juliette-isms in whatever I do. I don't know. Because you can't, I always want to be something entirely different, but I am how I am. But to your point, let's see, I have to understand I had to understand the girl, the vulnerability. I had to understand why is she being seduced?
Yeah.
And how?
Right.
Why and how, and what is that for her? Because for her, I also remember the writings was so. I don't read good, bad reviews, but at the time they would my manager, they'd show me reviews, and gosh, it used to distress me so much because that's their job to write big think pieces, but I don't think in that way because I'm thinking in energy and intuiting.
Wow.
So it's much more simple, but I did have an understanding of it's just a young girl who she's being listened to.
Yes.
So because they were like the burgeoning sexuality and the blah, 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 and it's like she's not.
Right.
That's how you manipulate that. You listen and make them feel important, and in their home they're being invalidated. So it's quite easy to set the table for disaster in that way. But I, as a young girl, had to have a deep understanding toward all these things to play it.
Yes.
And so that's what I mean about acting, and I wasn't just that girl.
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah, but all the like loosey-goosey thing, it was quite deliberate because it was also my way to go against feeling stilted or uncomfortable if I'm playing someone who's putting that on, which is very teen like.
Yeah.
But you have to understand, before that,
Yeah.
I was in sitcoms where they didn't want me to act natural. And so it wasn't till Marty was like, yes!
Oh,
I was
my
like, oh,
God.
I'm doing something correctly. Because before that, they hired an acting teacher. It's the funniest story.
Is it? Tell it.
Yeah. Oh. I was doing a sitcom in the 80s. I was going to give it acting up at 16.
Wait, what was the sitcom? I know this one.
It's called A Family for Joe.
Oh, no, I don't.
No one knows it. And they want like more energy and smile and you stand by the couch and gee, Dad, and all this like really bad, and I would behave natural like my peers.
Yeah.
And they didn't like that, and they wanted all that waxed, the 80s sitcom acting. And so I was like rebelling, and I was like, wow, maybe this world isn't for me.
Yeah.
And then I auditioned. Well, I did this movie of the week with Brad Pitt, which led to his success and then my success.
Right.
In
it was like a Lifetime movie, was it?
Yeah, totally.
It's
it
so
was
funny.
Melodramatic, but it gave both of us a chance to do intense drama.
Yeah.
And he had come from a soap opera. I think it was Dallas.
Yeah. Oh, Trip. Sure.
He came from a soap opera. I came from like a sitcom in the 80s.
Had he done Thelma and Louise yet?
No, then he did Thelma and Louise, and then I did Cape Fear. They were within 6 months of each other. So
that's
it was a big
wild.
deal.
Did I won't ask you too. I won't ask too much about that. That's
respectful because that's people lean in on it. But for me, it's just a friend that you went through. We lost our anonymity together, so it's like this very big turning curve in both our lives within a 3-year. We were together for 3 years.
Yeah.
So prior to that, we're just like little hustling, working actors.
Right.
We came from, to give you an example, the movie of the week we did, we were in cubicle dressing rooms. They're the dressing rooms that now background act performers get.
Yeah.
But they're the size of a bathroom. And ours, it was 1989. So there was like a wooden thing.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, those were our dressing rooms. And I used to play the Beatles' She's So Heavy.
Oh, my God, what a song.
Yeah, and anyway.
Do you know they recorded that song, the guitar of that song, how heavy that boom, boom, boom. It's multi-layered in a closet, in a small space, just like what you're talking about. You loved that song and played it there. It's so massive. They put it in a corner in a closet and then just layered it over and over again is what I've heard about that.
I can hear that.
Yeah. It's massive. It's like metal is born.
Yes.
Because
it's not, because sometimes when you don't know music very well, you're like, is that the power of the riff or is the power of the sonics?
Yes.
And it's both.
But
the sonics, now you explain it.
Yeah.
Because it goes from like to
yeah. You know what I want to say about Cape Fear, there's a scene also where you get yelled at by Nick Nolte, and it's a quick turn, and I heard Anthony Hopkins give a talk once about sort of like the dangers of taking on a role because it inhabits you, and if you aren't careful of the exchange of parting ways with it, parts of it can stay with you. And I thought about the impact of scenes like the scene where he's yelling at you, and I go, how does she, as an actress, not absorb that and trust, or how does her body not keep the score?
Yeah, well, here's what's funny. Well, I know the quick answer to that is because I lived a life nobody would have a clue of prior to that movie, that's not the scariest thing that's ever gone down, is a guy pretending to be a father and yelling at you. Well, and he pressed his hand on my mouth.
That's true.
He's being mindful. He's not really hurting me, but and I don't mean, but I like I said, I'd run with a tough group of people prior to working. Like I could have turn into a criminal of sorts.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
I don't know what crime I would do, but I mean, I did steal a car.
Oh, nice.
I'm not boasting. It was,
No,
the keys
no.
were in the ignition.
Come on, we all done stuff. Yeah.
No, I was an asshole and irresponsible.
Aww.
I was a teenager. I digress. My point is that when you think, I had an attraction to drama. So, but only when you grow a little, you're like, oh no, I don't want that in my life.
Right.
I'm like, God, how awful.
Yeah.
Let's tell stories.
Right.
About humanity, the depths of.
That's right.
So that's where that maturity comes in. But now, here's the irony of your statement is, now I'm even more sensitive to the energy that I'm conjuring. So I look at some of my peers or even younger actors to play. Oh wait, I'm conditioned to let the motorcycle pass.
Yeah. You know what?
So.
At one time, an owl was in a tree and it was doing its sound, and then a loud truck went by and it stopped, and then when it passed, it started again. And I was like, that's a teaching. Like, maybe we should just not compete with something that's man-made, that's come into a natural situation. Let's let it pass and have our continuity.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
What do you think the owl? He was just like.
I'm not competing with man-made noise.
Cool.
We've been here forever doing this thing. Like,
just pass.
I'll wait till you pass.
I'm doing here.
Yeah.
Well, mine was a conditioning that we're filming because. If the people at home don't know, when there's loud sounds, it messes up the acting take. Oh. And you'd have to then do voiceovers.
Right.
So you're conditioned like, there's an airplane. They usually say cut.
Oh, gotcha.
Or you could be emoting and crying, and if there's an airplane, you're like, oh, fuck, I'm going to have to do voiceover on these lines.
What a pain in the ass.
Because in the edit, it's not consistent. Anyway,
right.
The whole thing.
Oh, thank you for that peek into that. That sounds really tough.
It's funny. It's one of those autopilot you learn through the job.
Is this nice to just, like, incorporate it into the thing and just have it be...
Exist?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sensitive to sounds. Well, now we're talking about... So I look at... peers or people playing real life serial killers or something like that. I don't know that I would want to lean into that at this time. But when you're younger, you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna. Well, even Natural Born Killers, which was an amalgamation of, we used famous serial female killers. There weren't that many to pull from in their savagery.
Do you remember any examples?
Yeah, at that time is Eileen Warnes.
Oh.
You won't see Mallory. She's just a made-up
right, sure.
thing. I get into the animal kingdom.
Oh,
That's
nice.
where I get my resources.
Nice.
And Jimi Hendrix Voodoo Child Slight Return. If you want to see what influenced Mallory Knox...
I feel like I've been zapped by God knowing that. I mean, honestly.
I listened to Jimi Hendrix, Voodoo Child, and Killing Floor for 1 month every day.
Wow.
And there's every bend of his guitar, for me, took me into the story of the jungle and savagery and darkness and despair. And it turns out there's so much going on in his guitar playing.
Yes.
In Voodoo Child, that is, to me, the origin story of Mallory Knox.
Wow!
Nobody knows it.
Fuck! That is the best! I'm I can't believe that. Now it all makes sense. Your movements in that.
But when it goes ding,
of course,
and he goes down, but it's like ding, and it slowly pulls you in like a seduction.
I'm thinking about your dance scene in the beginning.
Right.
And
it's like, to me, oh my God, I got goosebumps. To me, it's like bombs dropping.
Yes.
It's so much darkness.
Yep.
He's taking you right into the savagery of the jungle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's such a interesting response from Cape Fear, because the scene that, of course, I don't know, I mean the scene in that movie that you're involved in, where he's seducing you at a certain point, it gets revealed to you that he's not
a good guy.
He's not the drama teacher.
Yeah. Yes.
And you go, okay, and you start to put it together, and you watch the arc of you going from this completely vulnerable place where somebody is listening to you to like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm in danger.
Yes.
And you can see it slowly. You can see it in your expressions, and then right at the tail end of it, you start to cry because you go, are you going to hurt me? And I'm like, how did she know? How can you even explain that?
Well, here in their scene, which is a 9-minute scene, I was told, because that's really rare in movies. So it is very much like a little mini play,
yes.
That scene. And that was great because he's still making it safe for her. She doesn't, the crying or the full revelation of his possible evil is later, and when the parents say, oh no, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry, the killing of my mom's dog.
Yes.
When you're like,
yes.
And you killed
right.
our dog. He has to convince her, no, he didn't, he
yeah.
didn't. So he shakes the ground. That's her only reference of
right.
that he's possibly an evil guy. Is you killed our dog. She doesn't know the darkness.
That's the danger of the danger of not communicating with your kids or not listening to them and involving them, because
the scary stuff.
The thing that they don't want to have happens because they haven't involved her.
Yeah.
Wow.
They didn't involve her.
Yes, and so you go to that place, and once you're convinced that he didn't hurt the dog, and up until that point, also it's weird because like he sort of represents karma, just in this way of like, hey, what you did back then has come back to get you.
That's
and it's kind of relentless, and it's learned your game. It's learned how to be a lawyer, and it's learned how to do things like honest.
Yep.
But then in the dark, which we're not seeing so much, these bad things are happening. But up until that point, it's kind of like a karmic lesson.
Yeah.
But then when the dog gets killed, and and then, well, anyway, so this scene.
Yeah.
Then it goes into a kiss, and I feel like here's the crazy thing: a kiss and of course his thumb. So, but when that happens, I felt like looking at it this last week, watching it again for the however many time. Yeah. I watched it and I saw that. I was like, this is the first big movie, and it's the first time she's been listened to by a director, and she's giving up so much in this scene, and it's like this incredibly vulnerable moment that gets followed up by Mallory Knox.
Yes.
Which is fucking amazing. It's almost like a response.
I was just going to say, you keep talking the call and answer. There's a call and answer a lot in my work, or just flip-flop. Like, you think this? Here's this.
Yeah.
However, so after Natural Born Killers, I did this Steve Martin, Nora Ephron directed comedy.
Oh, that's right.
With Adam Sandler, but it didn't hit. It didn't become successful.
What is that, Mixed Nuts?
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
So some people know of it, but that was a deliberate thing on my part, because I come from a character actor. My dad didn't advise me, but I guess I loved this idea of, I love characters, so I don't like being, now we know what she is. She's an innocent ingenue. Oh, she's a crazy girl. She's fucking scary.
Yeah.
Prone to violence.
Right.
And now comedy, but the comedies I did, they didn't really hit. So I did comedy later.
Well, it's funny. You ended
Todd
up in a classic.
Phillips.
Yeah, you ended up in that classic, and that Todd Phillips.
That was finally my opportunity to do comedy, because for a whole long stretch, I was only associated with really serious stuff, which is awesome. But Natural Born Killers in particular, I think I scared the bejesus out of a few people.
Can we geek out on that film?
Yes. Sorry, I have a leftover cold. It's gross.
No, it's not at all. Getting a text from you this past week when I was kind of trying to do a little tease with people, and because I just watched Natural Born Killers again also. Oh. And so I posted that little clip of you, And it's you saying at the end of the film, which you told me right afterwards, you had pneumonia, walking pneumonia.
Yes.
But you're going like, they're going to think that it's orchestrated or that there's something, that we're behind it or whatever. But it's just fate. And I was doing that because you're in my story when I interviewed Jim James, and that kind of like started this conversation with you and I. Like right after I finished the interview, I was taking my dog for a walk, and you were at the crosswalk. You stopped for me as I'm crossing at the crosswalk. And I thought, that's fucking wild that this would all, at a crosswalk situation at that point would lead, to the next day is when we began communicating.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, there's 2 points to that, and I don't want to reveal. Maybe everyone knows where you live.
Yeah.
Exist.
Yeah.
Not the house.
No. Yeah.
But there's
Everybody
a magic. There's a magic in spaces, but it's several things because I think people can be open to symbolism and magic anywhere they are. But then there's also epicenters of magicness.
Is that what brought you here?
Huh?
Yeah, I feel that very much here.
Well, I've found, so not just stopping for you and seeing this, but also you have to open yourself to it. Because I've had closed days where I'm here and just going along, and I have to remind myself to be in flow. I've been using this term. I want to be in flow. Universe flow or alignment. And once you join or be open to that messaging system But I found, for me, I'm in a place and time that I can do that more.
Yeah.
I'm less jammed up. One, in a city. I feel so jammed up in a city.
It's insane.
And then also, work-wise, can jam you up when you schedule yourself, which I'd done too much of.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not done now.
How long have you been here?
2 years.
Oh, great. Wow, I can't believe I think I've been seeing you around and not approaching respectfully, because I'm in that flow now of my whole life I thought that other people had the invitation.
Oh.
And so I looked for the invitation everywhere.
Yes.
The signs, and I was hyper vigilant. I was scared that I was going to miss a sign, and so I paid attention to everything, thinking that it was outside of myself. And then finally at a certain point, I just realized, hey, maybe you're the party, and you have the invitations.
Oh.
And so I switched that in my consciousness, maybe, I don't know, 6 months ago or something like that. And
this is an invitation for me. To my first podcast. Maybe I did I don't even remember. I just know since podcasting has been a thing, I've been asked. I've not done podcasting.
Wow.
And then I did this for the idea of unpressurized discourse and actually giving. Maybe I have something of interest. I don't often think this way.
Yes, for sure.
But anyway, wait. How'd you interview Jim James? Is that his real name?
That's his real name.
That's
No.
two first names.
No, he's Jim Winchester.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Jim James was a solo record?
Jim James is his name, but I mean, it's what he goes by, but I think it's Jim James Winchester.
That's
fully.
neat.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I have this record of his solo record that I've listened to endlessly. I always return to it. There's a song on it called Here in Spirit.
Yes, amazing song.
So beautiful, and I love how it was produced,
Oh,
too.
totally.
Okay, so how did you get this interview? He's neat.
You know, the crazy story is that I made friends with another one of my heroes. I made friends with somebody who I looked up to musically, this guy, Devendra Banhart.
Yes.
And I was just a fan from a distance, and then he took interest in what I was doing, and then at a certain point, I think he had like a psychedelic trip.
Yeah, I read that, I think. Yeah,
yeah, and
That's neat.
Across the sky it said, support Jaymee. And so he's been since feeding me, some of his friends, and but they also don't just say yes.
Yeah.
Like I have to be me, you know, and so that's how that happened, and that was an absolute. To have this follow anyway is just insane because
that's
you're
neat. Two
of my favorite people, and of all time.
Wow.
You know, your art and your offerings, and so I guess we'll go back to Natural Born Killers because I honestly feel, as far as I'm concerned, as far as movies are concerned, that it is one of the most ambitious films.
Ambitious is a good word.
And it's satirical. It's satired something that is now a reality.
Yes.
Which is our obsession with true crime and the obsession with serial killers. And that movie kind of prophesized it in almost like a TRL, kind of like saying our fascination is almost like, it mixed the fascination of musician like fandom with the serial killers, which is kind of what's kind of on some level happen. Like, people do go home and worship murder. They worship serial killers by watching these shows, not worship them, but give attention to these stories over and over again. So it really tapped into that 30 years ago.
And visually, what was neat about what Oliver was doing, this is neat because I'm doing an interview about it coming up. I just adore Oliver Stone, and we've become sort of distant little, like, mutual supports in these latter years. I've sung his praises for what he gave me at that particular time, because that set, and what I mean by that, because you had Scorsese, who I feel like anointed me, sort of like, and you are, and I am, I am something that is a thing, that knows their thing and is doing. And then Oliver Stone upped the ante in my craft by saying, if you're down, bring it. I want to see everything you got.
Wow.
Come to the stage.
That's so empowering. That's incredible.
Yeah.
To come from sitcom to Scorsese, where it's like, hey, do your thing. And now it's like, I want to see everything.
Yeah, because his whole thing is he just wanted all your ideas. He wanted all your creativity, which is very rare, I've learned in hindsight.
With Oliver, or just in general?
No, on jobs. Some people are scared of creativity. Some people want a robot, just follow. I hate it, but more particularly in television, they're wanting to, it's a writer's medium, that's fine, but if you're not allowed to pop it off the page, it's like go to robot acting, 'cause that's a whole school. You can find that. I like to make something come alive in a way you never imagined, but honor the text. So it's not like just revolting. But I worked with people where it's so collaborative. Not to be confused with time consuming, because in show business, they're terrified of like taking too much time. I've worked on sets where you had to get it first take, third take, so it's not even the 70s where you hear about Coppola or being off on an island for 3 months. I don't know the stories, but that's what I think the business. Sorry, I'm on a little
keep going
diatribe, but the business and the top, they think creativity is equal to waste. Or wasting money or something. And it's like, no, if you supported the artist, you'd get your stuff done much quicker. It's this other stuff. And I could go on.
No, that was amazing to hear your thoughts on that.
But so Natural Born Killers, he...
like, what's the prep?
Oliver was amazing. So even in the prep, it's like... Those were the days, too. I love saying I'm of an age now where I can say, in my time... in my day, because I just did a movie that was 20 days. I'm like, who would make a movie in 20 days? That's not even a movie, but okay, good luck. You hired me. I don't know. We're going to give it a go.
Okay.
So that's where I was like, in my day, it was 3 months. Natural Born Killers.
Really?
Cape Fear was 3 to 4 months. Natural Born Killers, 3 months. I think...
How do you even do that movie in 3 months? Does he just have an insane amount of people working on that? I mean, the layers and textures.
If you think about it, it's several. What takes a lot of time is it's the prep, but it's the locations, and it's the ambition of the location. We were in all over New Mexico, Albuquerque, Santa Fe.
Was that an active prison?
Winslow, Arizona. Oh, yeah, and then the prison. So then we would go to Chicago, and then we were outside in St. Joliet, Illinois.
Oh, shit.
I learned a lot about
Juliette.
Prisons in that there's 3 at that time of the most violent, housing the most violent prisoners, and that was one of the 3. And wow, they're funny. I remember when orientation to the prison before we were shooting, it was me, I think Sizemore, Harrelson, and Robert Downey. So it's just little me. I was tiny. I'm 19, and you had to get a dress code. Don't dress very. Don't wear a dress.
Yeah.
But so you have to wear baggy clothes. They give you how you need to dress when you're going to walk through that prison. Whoa. And then the wardens had a box of like shanks and homemade weaponry. And he's like, this is our, and I remember him showboating, this is our weapons.
The contraband?
Yeah, our contraband. And this is the contraband they have over at blah, blah, blah prison is blah, blah, blah. Like he was like showing
comparing,
off.
Like ours is way more hardcore than theirs.
And there were like mini guns out of pens.
Oh my God.
Anyway, what's my point? It was a long shoot. What we did to prep, I learned I had never shot a gun in my life.
Yeah.
I'm not, everything I did in that is convincing you that I'm that.
Yeah.
I was terrified of shooting guns. The first time I shot a gun was with a ex-military man, sergeant. We took the instruments apart, like we learned all about guns, super safe. That was the irony, is that set, for as wild as everyone's known to be or whatever that set is.
Yeah.
I know the real deal was hard work.
Yeah.
It was very safe. Because you had people, it wasn't gunplay. Like, that's not how we thought of it.
Right on.
But anyway, the first time I shot a gun, he told me all about it. We took it, we did this, everything about it. And then came time to pull the trigger. And I involuntarily started weeping. Just uncontrolled. Just like, because it was so scary, and I knew it was a killing machine.
Yes.
And the sergeant, his name was Dale Dye. He's like, I think female emotion was scarier to him than being on a war zone, because he like put his arm. He's like, "It's okay, kid. You're all right, kid." The stiffest and like. Right. And it was so awkward. I was like, wow, you better stop crying, because this guy, you're really making him uncomfortable. It was so sad.
Yeah.
I had never seen someone so awkward.
That's that empath.
Yes.
You were in that moment feeling his
I was
stuff,
so
and
scared
going,
of the machine. And then this guy trying to comfort me, I was like, oh, you better get it together. This guy's so uncomfortable.
Right. I shot a shotgun for the first time last year. And I can't even believe
a shotgun, no less.
A shotgun.
Those are terrifying.
In the desert, and it was. I can't believe that someone could think to point that in the direction of a human after you shoot one.
Yeah.
The sheer lightning force.
Yeah.
That travels through, it's so powerful. It's just like, it's insane to think about that we ever point those at people. So I totally get the sensitivity around it, and I'm glad that I had the experience so I can know.
Yeah. And
it's shocking. It's shocking that this has been used to destroy people for as long as it has. The force and that's been allowed on some level. Even though I'm not everybody should have guns, do whatever the fuck.
I'm with you, but I'm just pro responsibility and education.
Yeah, it's all energy, like you've been talking about through acting, and it's the same thing with energies of life. Like, this is a powerful force of an energy in life.
Yeah.
To call normal.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yes. So we did a lot of gun training, and I have shot every kind of gun you could think of. I had nicknamed, a spray gun, which I believe is the AK-47. I don't know the names of them. I just know we had a whole obstacle course. We pulled them all apart. Mind you, this is 25 years ago, so... but I do remember the day we had to do this obstacle course and pick up weapons. And the shotgun was too big for me, because I was littler, more petite than I am now. And so I used the hip shotgun. That's all I call them. I had to shoot a sawed-off shotgun, all these things. And I had to really, what it taught me is I had to really get in control of that first fear, and also of machines that I thought were more powerful than me.
Wow, yeah.
And so that was one part of the training.
Yeah, I bet.
And there's the sirens.
Yeah. They're playing our song.
But when we shot the movie, a lot of it was like, for example, when Woody and I were in a car, and he did a lot of, it was psychedelic fantasy.
Yeah.
And
on the way to the Native American.
What?
Is this on the way to the Native American scene?
I don't even remember what scene goes where. I just remember we were on a soundstage. It was in a car, and he's like, I'm going to have some demons run by you. You just react, okay?
Wow, yeah.
And so you don't have time to go, well, how would I react to a demon? I mean, what state is she in? You just have to wing it.
Yeah.
And just give and just be in the moment and be fearless. So that's, back to Oliver Stone, that's what it taught me, is just give it. Bring it, give it, commit. And it was wild. And a lot of those sequences, like the drug zone, when they go, they were epic, massive scale, cameras here. I don't know if you remember the whole things, because the whole
place is green, and it's like a gigantic, like a Sears or a Walmart or a CVS or something like that, just a major drugstore, and it's completely empty, and all the shelves are full.
They're looking at the snake venom.
Yeah, and you think about all the cops that come outside too, and the scale of this particular scene among so many scenes like that of scale.
That one was particularly, it was memorable when you see it because it's operatic. I think, I forget what music was even playing. I think some opera was playing.
Yes, until L7 shit list comes on. Yeah.
But it was very, when you pull back, because that's when they were getting arrested.
Yes.
And there was fire over here and people getting beat up and stuff. So it all had to be orchestrated.
Yes.
Really well, like a well-oiled machine. And so
there's something you do when you're introduced in that role, and we're at the diner and you guys have stopped off and we're just getting to know you both, and we haven't seen any violence, and the guys come in and they start hitting on you, and you do this. It's so funny still to this day. I remember at the time seeing it and going like, that was such a good representation of like, because the guys come over and you're dancing and you just slowly go like, yeah, like this fucking thing again. Here we go. You're ruining my fucking trip.
Oh, this guy's bumming me out.
Right. And then when you strike at them, there's a laugh. And you laugh, and it's like, I laugh in all these weird places too in life because of the absurdity of things. But your laugh is so iconic in that thing because it's kind of like, all right, here we go. The tables have turned. What do you think now, kind of thing? But it's almost like a giggle into the universe between Mallory and her universe of sort of like, I don't know. But you do this throughout too, where you'll laugh in that film hysterically and
maybe you're talking about the banshee, like I made up this thing that I was like, in these scenes, because there's an absurdity, of course, in that movie. It's sort of anything goes.
Yeah.
But again, Oliver he set the table, like, bring it.
Yeah.
And so that gave me this freedom where I'm like, hey, I think when she's jumping on Rodney Davis, she should.
Yes.
I have this banshee noise.
Oh,
Can I show it to you?
Yeah, I know the one. Do it, please.
I don't know how to do it, but I don't even know where that came from.
Yeah, really? It was just like a primal banshee?
Well, actually, no, it's the incredibleness of Oliver. He gave me a tape cassette of Native American chanting.
Really?
He gave me music. He had all this Native American stuff that he's connected to.
Yeah.
You see it in the Doors.
Yes.
It's a bit of his universe, and invited me into it, and I don't know, I took it like a sponge, and so I came up with my own stuff.
Wow, nice.
But the banshee yelling, I don't know what that was. I think I just entered the animal kingdom, so I brought that. But the other stuff that's playful, like where I'm doing the ballet legs around Woody, that's just my stuff.
Wow.
I don't know that. They were into it. So I was like, okay, cool. You guys are into this. Me being weird.
It's such a textured movie, like I was saying, and all the black and white stuff that you see in JFK. Also, you see in some of these other films where there's these cutaways where it's like an extreme version of what just happened.
Yeah.
And almost he'll do a replay, but a close-up thing, and it's nuts. Like, I don't even know where to begin. It's one of those movies you kind of go...
Yeah, and that's the craftsmanship of there's 4 editors. I only met one person named Hank, who is just a fantastic visual genius.
Yeah.
And then Oliver, that's a tapestry of his wild mind and what he wanted to say in that film.
Yeah.
And it really, he didn't mind antagonizing who he meant to antagonize, which was mainstream media.
Right.
But us as actors, like when we promoted that movie, I never felt so much. I was like, oh shit, they think we represent the filmmaker. I was like,
wow.
That's what I'm like. I'm just an actor.
Right.
But the journalists hated us.
Because of the sensationalism of violence?
Well, because Oliver's pointing the finger at them.
Oh, right. That's true. You're the ones who are creating this.
Yes.
Sensationalizing it, and with Robert Downey Jr.'s character.
Yeah. So they're like,
as
if we're just showed up at work trying to do our jobs. But,
right.
But yeah, I got banned in a few places and, a lot of that stuff. Yeah.
Holy shit. Mm-hmm. So you're a rebel then at this point. I mean, through this film. I mean, you were saying something about the relationship to the Riot Girl movement, and that you had some consciousness around that.
Oh no, you said that. I actually didn't know much about the Riot Girl movement, ironically, of that time.
Oh wow.
Only in hindsight.
Gotcha.
I mean, a little bit. I follow Kathleen, the punk singer. I saw that.
Kathleen Hanna.
Oh, I love this. Her documentary is so good.
Oh, wow. I didn't know she had
called
one.
The Punk Singer.
Oh, damn. I want to see that.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's great. But that's what I'm saying. Some of these movements were around. I was listening to more classic rock. And like I said, Jimi Hendrix and also Miles Davis, stuff that my dad had shown me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. About the soundtrack also and its impact on culture.
Yes.
And Quentin Tarantino wrote Natural Born Killers.
Yes.
That's correct, right? Mm-hmm. Or that he created the story.
Yeah.
Or something. Did you ended up in From Dusk Till Dawn, and is this where the relationship began?
Yeah, me and oh my gosh, I hear my mother's voice sometimes. Quentin and I. Is that she never oversaw any of us doing our homework, but all of a sudden in my adult years, she'll go, not them, but blah, or whatever. She'll correct my grammar. I'm like, Mom, where did this come from? She never... Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, is it Quentin and I? I was about to say me and Quentin and me. Bad grammar. There's a invisible ruler from my mom. We became friends after Natural Born Killers, and that was funny. And I love Quentin. He's really easy to get along with and down to earth. I get along with down to earth. People don't have a lot of airs or self-importance.
Yeah.
And then he invited me one summer to support his friend Robert Rodriguez, and said, "Hey, would you do a little part in this?" And I was
which
like,
is a
sure.
departure for you too. I mean, it's another turn for you playing a different person that you hadn't played.
100%.
Right?
I always follow a criteria like who's involved, the story, and absolutely the role has to be different than something I did before. But I mainly did it as this would be fun, which I don't rarely make decisions on fun. Now maybe I would, but because it was Quentin and it was fun, we had a blast making that movie.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Who are you becoming? I mean, as the person that you look back on in those times. Of course, there's a continuation and a thread of her here now, but then do you look back at her as having a lot to learn, or do you? Or, I guess, like, what are your... what?
No, I'm trying to look at it. No, and I'm like,
good.
Damn, she has a will.
Yeah.
Not just, oh my gosh, like something to prove.
Yeah.
I mean, mind you, I even had that in my music, but I think I laid it. But that's also the grace of, maybe I've proved a couple things.
Yeah.
I'm 50.
That's right.
Yes. Some people have told me I proved, I don't know. I had so much to prove. Also, so what's the question?
No, that's perfect.
I'm looking back. What is she doing?
Well, okay,
younger me?
Yeah, and who are her influences? You're now you're now celebrated in Hollywood and antagonised in Hollywood at that stage in Natural Born Killers.
Oh yeah, back then. I think some people figured it out.
Yeah.
Oh, she acts. She's good at what she does.
Right.
Took a minute.
But it took a minute. So at that phase, who are your influences? Who are you trying to be like? Who are you looking up to? And how I guess what I want to say. Who is she? Is a lot of her still here?
That's so funny though that you said who is she trying to be like. I was so trying to be like no one but only myself.
Amazing.
And to discover, and artistically. Mind you, I had lots of trouble in my personal life or how to be. I was socially inept.
Is that right?
Yeah, I was an introvert. Took me a long time to be able to claim myself in a space.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? Or be comfortable in my skin. But artistically, I was only trying to. I just really loved what I do. I really love what I do. I really dig into it.
Yeah.
I worked on these TV shows too. I just don't have autopilot.
Yeah.
I go to work. I like to be wound really tight. Like what that means is, I don't ever just hang. It depends on the shoot, but I just like tension. I don't like it in my real life, but for the work, for acting work, yes. I have to, because I've analyzed it. It's such a weird medium.
Is it like trust in the unknown? Is it or something about the unknown that makes it like?
It's the unknown, but it's. You've heard people talk about how a 2-minute scene in a movie could take 3 days.
Yeah.
The intensity of the focus and having to repeat and do something over and over and make it look like the very first time.
Yeah.
That in and of itself is an art. You could be starving. It could be 3 a.m. I've done scenes where I have to find my father murdered and be weeping, and they're like, that's lunch, and we're going to be filming my close-up, and I'll literally be in a space of, how am I going to do this in 30 minutes? How am I going to play not only something I've never lived before, but emote in a truly deep, honest way?
How have you kept that up all these years?
I don't know how I did it. So I get into really wild stuff. I'll touch flowers, and if anybody knew what was going on, I don't even know. I just think it's what do they call it? Conjuring.
Yeah.
I have a joke, but you know how sometimes jokes can be serious?
Yeah, yeah.
That I commune with fairies.
Oh, beautiful.
Or something. Yeah. It's metaphysical.
Yep.
If I get into acting, to me it's real deep like that.
What would
but
you
who
say?
Was I was a little bit rough around the edges. I didn't know how to enjoy. I didn't know much about enjoying life. I was really there's some things that serve me as a human. Bird is so much to say.
Such a buddy.
I think he's mimicking me. Or she. As soon as I stop talking. Okay. She's like, you don't say. Or my hearing is sensitive. I was so attached to melancholia and drama and sorrow endlessly as a youngster. So anyway, I didn't know how to enjoy the process that much.
Gotcha. What would you say you were? How would you talk about your spirituality throughout your life and the evolution of that?
Well, it's so much about where do we go when we die?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I was thinking about that early on. I lost an uncle when I was 7. And so that poses that question. Different than I have a a brother I didn't grow up with. We have different fathers, but he's one of my best friends. He grew up, a lot of friends died in his life. So he's actually, I love talking to him about lots of things, but death is one of them. One time, because we try to control so much, one time a friend died. I was like, oh, if I only had called her sooner, blah, 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 because I'm trying to think that she had fallen in a ravine. This is a friend I worked with.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, he was like, hey, Juliette, I hate to say this, and I don't mean to sound hard, but it has nothing to do with you.
That's helpful.
It was helpful.
Yep.
Because you want to control, and those last moments, this, and it's like, well, it's, but so, and then being midlife, I'm very much of, oh gosh, you spent so much time wrestling with things that are ultimately not important, and the more you lose friends, the more you'll be aware of what's important and what's not.
Yeah.
I've lost a few now, some to cancer, just health stuff.
Sure.
So now it very much is into how to seize the day.
Yeah, beautiful.
That kind of spiritualism.
Yep.
I'm not as disciplined as I'd like to, but
No.
that's something, I think that's the work.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
I want a morning practice. I
Nice.
know a morning practice I could be doing,
Nice.
but I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
All of it.
Wonderful.
I do some.
It's the most important thing I've ever done with my life.
Oh,
The most important thing.
okay.
And
What
it's
is it? Having a way you go to bed or wake up and go to bed, or what?
Definitely, it's just I've started my day the same way for 19 years, which is like waking up and meditating and reading something and then meditating. Mm-hmm. And the idea is that when I wake up, I don't know who I am, and my head's telling me all these me's that I've got to be.
Yes.
And I don't know where I've come from in sleep.
Yes.
And I also don't know what's going on in the subconscious generally, and I don't know the climate of the day emotionally for other people in my life. So I'm waking up and there's a lot of me's that I can be, and I find that that's not helpful to grab any of them, and we usually just wake up and we respond to what our mind is telling us is important. And so this morning practice disrupts that. It's a great disruptor of that.
And start with the clean state and be present.
Yes. What it does really is like when I read something, and it's, I read stuff that makes me think about everything.
How do you choose what to read? Or is it the same? Is it a prayer? Because okay, go.
No, yeah, no. I choose what to read based in the continuation of the last thing I read. And I've been in this long reading of certain, Buddhist books and stuff like that. And so I have this favorite author and I just read him over and over again.
Okay.
But what I do is I read because he just points to the nothingness, the going to zero in a good way.
Yes.
Right-sizedness. And so it challenges all of my ideas of being somebody in that moment and being important and having all this responsibility.
Flex. My problem is that, because especially younger, with survivalism or whatever that was for a person, there's so much fight.
Yeah.
It was so much fight. I mean, you're like, I remember when I was realizing becoming middle-aged. It started with my father's sickness. I wasn't working a lot, so I had all those grown-up problems, economics, mortality.
Yep.
And
arc of a career, and probably,
that it was waned off. That actually was the lesser of the importance. The economics was all I thought about was how to take care of my dad.
Right.
And I was like, where's that money, that young money I had 10 years ago to get a good caretaker with that he was going to live with me as well. Oh. Because I didn't have children. I just had assigned myself this role because I was like, I'll do it.
Huh.
This is what I've done often, though. I'll jump into the deep end of the pool and see if I can swim.
Yeah.
But I did it because my sisters had kids. I don't have kids. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm going to take care of my parents. I still feel this way with my mom.
Beautiful.
But wait, I didn't mean to go on this tangent of midlife. Oh, yeah. What serves you in your youth could be awesome.
Yes.
doesn't serve you in midlife.
Yes.
And you have to go, and for me, it's a lot of this, some kind of fight.
Yeah.
Well, because the world's a tough, horrific place at times. So sometimes you can wake up finding, especially with these devices, everyone wants to launch into the assertion of points of view. And I think, like you, I'm with you of reaching understanding. I actually want to get out of the fight.
Yes, out of the fight.
It's not that exciting.
That's
or
right.
It's not interesting.
The fright of somebodiness is what I've found that it is just like, my somebodiness rubbing up against your somebodiness.
Yes.
And I find that when I go in the world, with this practice now, there isn't anything for anyone to rub up against. I'm just like not a scratching post for, it doesn't land. Like I won't hold a resentment. I stay out of situations with people where there's like debts, where we're not doing things exactly what we want to be doing in a moment, and we're doing extra because of people using that. They can use that as like some sort of currency.
Yes.
Rather than it just being like, wow, I love being around you. You love being around me. I bring something to the table. You bring it to the table. And where we get messy is just life. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so this morning practice, it disrupts that by reading something that challenges the notion of ego.
Yes, this ego.
And then I go into meditation. I sit with that and I watch all the me's trying to assert themselves and go like, hey, you got to do this afterwards, or hey, how long has this been? I watch all of the thoughts, and I watch from a place of being what you were saying, the observer. Mm-hmm. So I watch as the observer, and I go, wow, all of these are going to try and be me today. I got to remember that I'm this nothing, that I'm actually the agency of all of these me's that are being presented. And morning practice and repetition has just made that more comfortable throughout the day to embody.
See, okay, well, thanks for saying this, because today I'm going to do the thing. I've done it like when I was working recently. Sometimes these hours get me. I texted you a little bit as much. But I alone am not going to change the way my industry functions. They've normalized. Oh, no, I've had more 16-hour days door to door than you can count, and that's normal. It's like nothing productive is good in the arts or anywhere past 10 hours of work. 12 hours you should cap it. And I've had long discussions with people in crew about how to make it better. Yeah. But my point is, I had to have a morning like prayer, just like how am I going to physically get through the day? Yeah. Just because I feel it more, it's harder.
And I'm looking for the invisible connection also throughout the day of this morning practice. It's referred to almost as like an echo goes from your practice into the day.
Oh, yes.
And so you'll be in some situation where like maybe you used to impulsively act in a certain way, but now the echo of your practice, it's a little pause that can be a lifesaver. Yeah. It can completely change any situation by just not saying that thing that you always say.
Yes. I have something I want to share in this.
Great.
I have a few thoughts on this. Wait, what is it? Well, one is just the ability to pause, not just automaticities. To me, that's death. It's unconsciousness. And here's a funny example. I'm doing this little club show, and we're doing it, my band, just to get our feet wet again. It's out of just love. We've been wanting to get together. So it has nothing to do with the business. We're just like, let's see if there's some dates. We're doing it all wrong, and it's all right. Yeah. That's how it's going.
Nice.
We're selling out. The shows have sold out. We have one last show. It just means people want it. People are hitting me up to be on the guest list because they didn't buy their ticket. And we know it. So my point is about pausing. This is just a little trivial thing to be like, why am I flexing with anger? I didn't text back in anger, but like, why am I boop, boop, boop? It's like, just love. Yeah. People are enthusiastic, but I was getting a little bent out of shape of the, because it's just energy, and I didn't know what to do with it, because ultimately I want everybody to have a ticket and be able to go. Right. But there's an issue of actual capacity. It has nothing to do with money. Yeah. Anyway, that was funny. I knew to pause, like in myself, I was like, why are you reacting, like being hostile? Like, why are they hitting me up? Well, because they're excited.
Yeah. The same thing is even with like just in meeting you today, leading up to it in the few moments before you got here, the stage had been set and I'm kind of walking around, as I said, you know, in the grass and what was I going to say? Hold on, let me think.
No, I was late. Even me, I was like, why am I late? I wanted to just be on time, and I changed it. Go on.
No, okay,
Other
so this
people
is what it was.
changed on me earlier today, their time. Okay, anyway.
No, you're fine. Are you kidding? You're fine.
There's a whole thing that happened before. Okay.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So we're at Ram Dass headquarters right now, as you found out when you got here. Mm-hmm. This is kind of the headquarters of Ram Dass activity on Earth, one of the spots. Wow. It's the Love Serve Remember Foundation location. Nice. And Ram Dass used to talk about, and also not an ad for Ram Dass, but...
Oh, no, we love Ram Dass.
Yeah, no, he's great. And I have to say also with Ram Dass and everyone that I've been associated with, not one person has ever said, hey, don't do that tradition over there, don't do that thing over there, don't do that. This is the only way. No one and I'm now on the inside of all of that, and I see that there's no person that's saying like Ram Dass is the only way, his teacher is the only way. So I like traditions like that.
Yeah.
And so one of his talks, those most famous talks, he's talking about how, why do we look at people in such judgmental ways? When we go into nature, we don't look at a tree and think about how different it is than this one in a negative way. Mm-hmm. We don't do this judging, you know. And as I was waiting for you to get here, I'm walking in the grass and I'm feeling nervousness.
Yeah.
And I'm going, I say to myself, like, wait, what do I have to be nervous about? I'm looking at this tree and I'm going, Juliette's this tree. You know? Like, this is just another being on Earth.
Yeah.
And Juliette's just love. Like this tree is love. So what do you have to worry about? And I even got down on the ground and I touched some moss that was forming because I thought, like, this is very natural. Yeah. You know, I'm getting all in my head about this being somebody that you're going to meet and it's not going to be like what it is now.
Flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hearing you, but then it's like, I guess our experience sometimes, but even that, it's like the more, even if I was stilted or didn't know how to, or didn't like your question, even that is like giving grace or allowance to whatever, because I've had that where I thought one thing about a person and then it didn't go the way I want, but it's only because of, again, expectation and not giving them the grace. Yeah. It's very rare that you'd ever meet a person who's going to snap your head off, right?
Right. Like no, a lot of the things that we worry about in life almost never happen.
They know.
Like I was worried about the other day, whenever I get in, when there's a lot of cars at a light and it feels like there's a big pile up and you go like, my head starts to go like, oh my God, we're going to be here forever. Yeah. And then I go, wait, nowhere in this city really is there like a line that stayed forever. Like, you know?
Yeah. No, I have a great story about if you get into like, what's the lesson? You know, the language we learned, like, please. God's providing a lesson. It didn't go the way you wanted, but it gets into that double rainbowness. Nice. But also there is, what is the lesson if something was, I'm still in a lesson about something that didn't go the way I wanted it. Anyway, I say that to say these cars are very funny because you're trying to get from point A to point B. There's a little bit of a goal. Anyway, I go crazy behind slow people. Yes. Because it's like you're not even going the speed limit. Yes. It says 35. 25, you're actually stopping people from existing in a way necessary to function. No, I'll get into long rage dissertations like this is anti-driving. My engine can't even withstand how slow. I can't even brake or put whatever. Yes. So I've gone on these long rage things where even then you're like, okay, you're behind a slower car. So sometimes I'll just pull over and be like, just go. Yeah, me too. Let me just wait it out. So I get in from a trip that all changed. I didn't have a hired car. I'm like, I'll take a cab. And then the cab looks like we're out of the 80s. It's a van. from some van that's from another time. And it was after the holidays. This nice man, I was like, we're going to where we're going. In the mountains, there's 2 ways to get there. This is Santa Barbara Airport.
Okay, yeah.
So there's the way that's more well lit, or there's those back roads.
Yeah.
The back roads is closer to my house. He didn't want to go that way. Anyway, I was like, okay, we'll go. And then I realized the long way is way too long. But I was going.
Yep.
We get on the freeway. He's going 40 miles an hour on the freeway. And I went, oh, my God. I'm in the car of the people I would rage against.
Wow!
And I'm like, God. And then I always think, God, you prankster. I have a
That's
joke, God is a
amazing.
prankster. Well, for me, she is. Because here I am in this person's car on the freeway. People are passing him.
Yes.
And we're going, and I can't, backseat drive. This is a long-ass drive. We're in this for an hour. I was like, you better buckle in, Lewis. And then I even said, hey, listen, we got to go the back roads. So this is what happened. We went in the back roads. Poor guy had never gone. He was so scared. People were blasting their lights and this and that. And he's like, oh, this person. And I go slow. I go, fuck this guy. I go, this guy's being rude and aggressive.
Yeah.
You go at your own pace.
Coaching.
And and then I was like, we were in this together. Yeah. And it was such a beautiful lesson. I gave him a big tip, even though he charged me astronomically.
Wow.
Went so slow.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I was just like, well, I drove with him. He was terrorized.
Yeah. It always helps me to see that actually, or to visualize that this slow driver is like, have you ever met these people who are just, they are so affected by their environment.
Yeah.
And get behind the wheel. Can you even imagine you and I going by them?
No.
Because I use the available space on highways. I enjoy using whatever is open.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
And I try to be considerate driver, but now I have a vehicle that's quite tight and maneuvers well. So
how does Juliette develop a friendship with herself? Because I'm asking because.
Oh, dear.
I'm asking because of death. And it feels like the most important thing to me at this point in life is to be a friend to myself at death.
Yeah.
To be able to say, there's going to be people around me. Maybe if I'm lucky, there'll be people around me. And I'll have that kind of moment where I get to leave the way I want to.
Yes.
But I'm going to have to convince myself that it's okay to go. Other people just going like, hey, it's. It's
a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, having been a witness to that struggle, even with my dad, my sister and I were like, okay, what do we do this visit? We've got to convince Dad to let go because his body was slowly going. And you see that a lot with people, they're hanging on.
Yeah.
And when they need to be letting go,
right,
departing. So, that's a thing.
That's the importance of the friendship, I feel like, is like I'm developing a friendship with myself now in life, which lends itself to being a friend to everyone, really. Right. If you're in friendship with yourself, you can be a good friend to animals, good friend to the grass, good friend to, and I also drive a car and fly through the sky on a plane and step on grass and crush bugs and, not on purpose, but I'm not saying just in some ethereal thing, but I have a friendship with myself that's like a friendship with my environment, a friendship with my mind.
Yeah.
And it feels like that's the most important thing to have as I move toward death. And so what's your friendship like with yourself, or how do you foster that?
I laugh every time. Because we're working through these things. Well, I'm way better than some other times. I'm only laughing at the divide because it's very tough to be in one's own skin and to be at odds or like, what the fuck, to talk to like you're fighting with yourself is so unpleasant. So, you're talking about 2 points, is being at odds in oneself or being at odds with another, which is also which means that's the work.
That's right.
You're at odds somewhere with your own energy.
Yeah.
So I've had different times in my life of like learning curves that have been awesome. Mm-hmm. And once you learn it, you can't unlearn. So you sort of creates a cohesiveness.
Yep.
In ones where earlier you might have been divided or ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've had these really incredible passages. I'm really into being the age I'm at 50.
Yeah.
And just the way it's gone down, you know, I don't have kids. Mm-hmm. That's one thing that's very, it's part of our thing we do on planet Earth, and also female. You go through things of like, is that going to happen? Not.
Yeah.
That's been a thing, but I've been in acceptance about that rollout for quite some time. Mm-hmm. That wasn't a choice or lack thereof. It's the way it's gone down.
Yeah.
So I just bring that up because that's a thing, a marker when you're 50 and female, and then men have their own markers. But but just that acceptance. You hear a lot about these words. And then what do they mean for you?
Yeah.
Because I know what they don't mean. Because acceptance to me doesn't mean being flattened by all negative outcomes or being apathetic.
Right.
So not to be confused with apathetic. Oh, and this goes back to something you were saying before with your daily practice, which I love, and of... because being a creative person,
yes,
there's so much self-will that goes on in being creative, an artist, inventive, because you have to disagree with what your concrete jungle will have you think.
Right.
One is that's of no value. That's not important. Dreaming of dreams. I could get so into it philosophically. And then you also, there's a thing I call, that I think is good to retain, but it's a joyful middle finger. You have to joyously be able to say fuck you to that which needs saying fuck you to.
Yes, fuck yeah.
Which is, the corporate, cog in the thing, or... Right. Or even people removing arts from schools. Do you know if I wrote songs earlier, it might have saved me from addictive things? I don't know. I wasn't expressing enough in the right ways early on.
Yep.
Because my schooling, I was not doing well, so the things that I would have loved, you don't get those. What are they? Extracurricular?
Yeah.
So say I got a D in this class. I then didn't get I loved Spanish. I couldn't go on the field trip. And so it removed me that much more from learning.
Wow, yeah.
Rather than helping you in the area you're not doing so well in.
Yeah.
I brought that up to say, just to save people's lives, that art sometimes does do that. Especially I bring up teenage years because I've had friends lost their minds, committed suicide. I mean, now that we're older people, luck of the draw. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Did you have a recent loss? I heard something about a band member at a certain point, or?
A cancer scare.
Oh, really?
But big.
Wow.
So my band is together. He got a tumor taken out. There were several stages of that journey, and when we don't know the outcome, I've lost 3 friends from cancer.
Yeah.
My age, mothers, and you're just like, why them? Well, this is what we're living in. There's poisons in and around us. Anyway, and then another friend, I actually, a year ago, it was very difficult. I lost 2 very significant people in the span of 2 months.
Whoa.
And so when I talk about that fighting, like, why would you do this to me, God? It's like that self-centeredness doesn't serve me, and it just came from pain.
Yep.
And so even acceptance in that time, but now we know there's a village. Like now I'm being more accustomed to reach out and lay in a friend's lap when I couldn't sleep more than 2 hours at a time because I'm not accustomed to death.
Yeah.
I go wide open.
Does it?
Where are you? What's happening?
Does it feel like there's a call to, when these passings happen, most of the time the longing that we feel is that maybe something not could have been said to derail it, but that they didn't die knowing exactly how I felt. And have you dug deeper in communicating how you feel about people since these passings?
I do that.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, even with who we were talking about individual before, I'll just say stuff that I'm feeling with the thing that we are human beings on this planet, and better say it now than ever. Like, even if it's not polite society, I don't mean mean things, I mean deep things.
Yeah.
Like, even that's terrifying to people, to be like, you are so valuable.
Yeah. And
you don't deserve to be unkind to yourself. Like, stop doing that. Anyway. Yeah, just to say if that's what I'm feeling, and then what else? Oh, well, no, with people departing, it's just things out of your control, and you get really into the meaning of life. Why are we all here? And blah blah blah.
Yeah. 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 What would you say?
Yes.
What would you say in closing?
And ba ba ba. That should just be and ba ba. Well, that's the Seinfeld yada yada yada.
Yeah, exactly. You can yada yada.
Why are we all here? Yada yada.
Well, I have a gift for you.
Mm-hmm.
And
but wait, yeah.
And it's very strange because this gift, it was intuitive today. I had no plan to give it to you all week, and I looked at it, and actually, I looked at it and I said, "You have to bring this today to give to her." It's a mala, and it's a mala that now it's a used mala. Okay, so but
even better, like a used guitar.
It's a used mala, like a used guitar, and this one in particular, recently I had Krishna Das. Do you know Krishna Das?
Mm-hmm. Who has the center? Is it up north, up the hill?
I'm like, well, no, that's probably. Oh, you're talking about. That's
park.
Yogananda. Or wait, who is it?
I don't know. There's some really cool person around here.
Oh, Krishnamurti.
Land.
Krishnamurti, of course. Yes.
A different Krishna?
Yeah, there's a different.
No
this
problem.
Is like a guy who chants, who's like a part of the Ram Dass thing. Who you probably heard his music.
Wait, say his name again.
Krishna Das.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He blessed this, and Jack Kornfield, the Buddhist teacher, also blessed this recently. A couple months ago, I was around them, and they were extraordinary blessings. Normally, Krishna Das, and maybe you'll look him up or something at some point. Yeah,
he'll hit me like a little lightning.
Yeah, and I worked with this mala also for a while, and I brought it, and I can't believe it's so wonderful that I brought it because of us just starting the discussion with it and having this be a day that you're talking about doubling down back into your regular practice or something. And so this is just a reminder. We've had reminders also of our conversation through the owl that's been talking to us.
Yeah.
It showed up after our pee break, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's been one sign after another.
Oh, that's neat.
So there you go.
Oh, I see. You don't know. I do with little weird things. I have this rock that my friend. Well, it's a heart amethyst. I just believe in energy that can be imbued in objects.
Yeah.
That's why I like used instruments, and they're around my house. Mm-hmm. But this is so precious, and I appreciate this so very much.
Oh my gosh, Juliette!
Wow.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah, I'm. This is a big deal. A big deal now moment for me.
That's great.
Yeah, and I also just I respect exactly everything that you said today and the way that you said it. I mean, really flawless as a human being as far as I'm concerned. And you helped raise me in some way, even though we're around the same age, you know?
Yeah.
We really are. I'm 47. I'm nearing 48. But I love being 48. And I love that this is just, I didn't plan for this.
That's neat.
I didn't plan this day also, how to set up a table or anything like that.
It looks pretty great.
And just before we got here, there was this saint from India who happened to stop by, and he was singing chants here on these grounds.
Really?
Yeah, and it was completely not something that was orchestrated at all, and it started this whole thing.
Nice.
So it's just been, I don't know, an extraordinary time with you.
Thank you.
A great first meeting.
Can I say one thing though about our topics?
Please.
Because I think the whole thing of being on this earth, you have the physical and the non-physical planes, and it can have a duality or a blockedness. Even though, where do we go when we're not here? How did we get here? All that. Since I was a little kid, I always wanted like invisible friends.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
And I just think we didn't have the language where I like being connected to the spirit world.
Yeah.
And the more we can have that cohesiveness to the energy of the unseen and the seen, it's just that's the rainbow connection. I don't know.
You know, you
Makes
can
it
imagine for me though, and I'm staying right size about this, and I feel deserving of your company. You know, today, which is nice. I feel that way. I just mean within myself. I just feel deserving of it, and I'm so pleased to report that. But I want to say, you could imagine how it could be for me. I mean, you were one of those invisible friends for me. You know, since, the 90s, like, honestly. And now, this is proof that the invisible friends also can materialize at a certain point.
That is true.
With no plan.
No plan.
No plan. Completely the unknown.
I like saying, Pete Holmes says it too, zoom out.
Yeah.
When you're like,
right.
Was this always going to go down and you just walked into it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
It's the whole philosophical question of manifesting or what is it? Predicting destiny or
yes. Oh, fate or is it fate or accident or
fate or manifest? Did you will it? Like I've had where you think a thought and then you run into the person and you're like, was I picking up that was about to happen, or did I make that happen? And it's sometimes a high. You know what I'm saying?
Can I?
Yes,
okay.
Because I don't know.
I have to be honest.
Okay.
I didn't know that I would be this honest about this thing, but honestly, this is what happened when we were at the crosswalk situation. When you drove away, I knew that I was going to release the Jim James episode. I thought, maybe she's a fan of Jim James. Maybe she'll see that I released this. And maybe she'll even start following me on Instagram, and then maybe I could invite her on the show. It literally went exactly like that. The next day, you started following me on Instagram. I asked you to be on the show, and here we are. And I saw this in my mind. Now, did I make that happen, or was I in tune? Or
I think you made it happen.
You think so?
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks.
It's a light touch. You're on your path, and you did. That's cool. That's cool. I was like, what about me?
I know. Where are you in my dream? Well,
no. I've had people though being like, I just talked about you yesterday, and I was like, well, well done you.
You know what? That's crazy too, because there's a flip side of this, of like where I used to think that whenever I'd run into some of my favorite people that, oh my gosh, we have a special connection. And then I'd build up this whole thing, which is so unfair to them.
Yes.
It's so unfair to have a whole invisible friendship with a celebrity, because by the time you meet them, there's so much expectation.
Yes, on the person.
And then they can't at all provide that. I mean, maybe, I don't know, somebody could, but I don't think so.
Not many people walk into that. Some people do, but that's that self-importance thing.
Yes.
Like even you saying these nice things to me. I mean, I finally arrived in a space where I can honor my work in my own right and not tear it down, because I'm always striving for transcendence in my work and better. I mean, that goes on. But now I'm like, I get in context what I've contributed or can contribute. But I don't I still like, hey, I'm just a dirtbag too. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I can be, and I quite like that.
No. I call it dirty saints.
Oh.
I kind of like calling it dirty saints. Like,
yes.
Dirty saints are like the people who have been in AA.
I've seen that. Yes.
You know? And they're kind of like that. They're kind of like the people who are switching from, they're doing harm reduction. That can be a dirty saint move. Somebody doing a harm reduction move rather than complete abstinence. That can be
okay.
Or somebody doing abstinence for a month and they have a plan to use again, but still they're doing abstinence. That's a dirty saint move because it's not exactly clean. Yeah. It still has some interest, but it's like really applying yourself.
Okay,
still.
With this, and we'll fucking close it down. But this brings me to, I think it's good to strive and play in these practices of, a Ram Dass or all loving and stuff. But the other day, because I also am in a rock and roll band, and I love bringing, like I used to listen to The Cure, Disintegration.
Yeah.
That helped me through one of my darkest times of my life. You listen to the lyrics of Disintegration, it's so impactful.
Yeah.
And what I mean to say is, like, the last week, some of this music I was listening. I was just on a tear, and I'm like, I idle in rage. So I don't know how to explain what exactly I was singing, but sometimes I just feel like rage energy as a quality, and I don't mean like uncontrolled,
right? But
it's powerful,
yes,
and it's tough stuff, and I think we need it to survive in this.
Absolutely.
Culture.
Yeah.
So you can pocket it.
Yeah, it's just like what vehicle we put rage in. That's really, like, rage in itself is like an expression.
Yeah.
But if we put it into a vehicle of her, it's what we do next with it, really.
Yeah.
You know?
I think rage is hard. I don't know what I was relating. Maybe in music.
Yeah.
It's powerful. I love it.
Oh, no, for sure.
Like a nice mosh pits are just.
Oh, my God.
So special. But
It's
I do
therapy.
know I'm little and I could break a wrist.
Yeah.
So I'm not knowledgeable, but boy, do I want them to exist.
Mosh pit philosophically.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but could you imagine people going, no more mosh pits? Like,
I know.
Oh my God, I was at Queenstown.
Yeah.
We saw a mosh pit. It was such a thing of beauty. It was a ballet.
Yes.
But again, my little bones,
right.
If one flail from a 200-pound guy, I would break.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not in denial, but I want it to exist.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. We'll end here.
High five.
High five.
Thanks for having me. This is my first podcast.
Wow.
In my little memory, I don't know.
That's unbelievable.
Since they started catching fire.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I did one. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, here we are.
This is an honor.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Juliette. Nice to meet you.
Me too.
All right.